Two people, same salary in their 30s, same city, same rent. One of them spent that decade feeling financially comfortable, great apartment, nice car, dinner out most Fridays. The other one felt like they were always saying no to something. At 65, version A is still working. Not because they love it, because the math never caught up. Version B retired at 61 with over $1 million in invested assets. Same income. Same 30 years. The difference between them is not what they earned. It is 4 specific decisions made or not made in a single decade. I am going to walk you through those 4 decisions right now. Because if you are in your 30s, you are not late. But the window is real, the math is unforgiving, and I want you to understand both. Here's why your 30s are different from any other decade, and I need you to actually feel this, not just nod at it. Compounding works on time more than money. $1 invested at 30 is worth roughly 4 times more at 65 than $1 invested at 45. Not slightly more. 4 times. The same dollar. Your 30s are the last decade where you have enough compounding runway to turn average contributions into genuine wealth. At 40, you can still build something real, but you have to work twice as hard to get the same outcome. At 50, you are mostly playing defense. The compounding math, $500 a month, starting at 30 at 7% annual, returns toxic approximately $1.77 million by 65. The same $500 a month, starting at $40, approximately $567,000. The 10-year delay costs $603,000 from the exact same monthly contribution, not from investing more, from starting earlier. Here is the problem. Your 30s are also the decade when life gets expensive in ways it never was before. Mortgage, car payments, kids, if you have them, a salary that finally feels real, surrounded by people who seem to be spending all of theirs. The 30s are when lifestyle inflation becomes the most seductive and the most dangerous force in your financial life. Lifestyle inflation is not spending more because you are irresponsible. It is spending more because your brain experiences a raise as permission. The salary goes up, and quietly, automatically, expenses follow. The research on this is uncomfortable. Studies on household spending patterns consistently find that for most Americans, a 10% raise produces roughly a 9% increase in spending within 18 months. The net savings rate barely moves. The income grew. The wealth did not. Here is the specific version of this that destroys 30-something finances. The average American household now spends approximately $1,000 per year on subscription services, streaming platforms, apps, gym memberships, meal kits, software. Most of that $1,000 is set to auto-renew on a card the person barely checks. Not because they chose it. Because it is frictionless to keep and annoying to cancel. $1,000 a year invested instead at 7% over 25 years is $67,000. That is one audit one afternoon reviewing your bank statements worth $67,000 in retirement money. In your 30s, the car payment stops feeling optional and starts feeling like a utility bill, a normal line item. Something everyone has. The average new car payment in the US in 2026 is $735 a month. That is $8,820 a year going to a depreciating asset while your investment account sits at whatever it was last month. I am not telling you to drive a rust bucket. I am telling you to run the math before you sign. $735 a month invested for 20 years at 7% is $453,000. That is the real price of the car. In your 30s, most people are carrying at least 3 types of debt, simultaneously. Mortgage, student loans, some form of consumer debt, credit cards, a personal loan, or the newer version of this, buy now pay later balances that show up fragmented across different apps. The mistake is treating them all the same. Not all debt is equal. And the mental energy people spend worrying about their mortgage, a 5% fixed debt while carrying a credit card at 22%, is one of the most expensive mismatches in personal finance. The interest rate reality, average credit card APR in 2026, 21.9%. Average mortgage rate, 6.6%. Average student loan rate, 6.5, 7.5%, depending on year issued. Average personal loan rate, 12-18%. The order of attack is clear. Highest rate first. Minimum payments on everything else. The math is not subtle. Here is the reframe that changes behavior. Paying off a 22% credit card is not a debt payment. It is a guaranteed 22% investment return. Tax-free. Zero risk. Vanguard thinks the U.S. stock market might return 3.5 to 5.5% per year over the next decade. You have access to a guaranteed 22%. Use it first. After high-interest consumer debt is gone anything above roughly 7%, the calculus shifts. A 6.5% mortgage in a world where a broad market index has historically returned around 10% annually is not obviously worth overpaying. Minimum payment on the mortgage. Maximum investment into a low-cost index fund is a defensible strategy that most 30-somethings have never considered because they were never shown the comparison. A specific version of this mistake is student loan paralysis, making aggressive extra payments on a 4.5% federal loan while not contributing enough to capture the full employer 401k match. This is paying down a 4-5% debt instead of accepting a 50 to 100% guaranteed return. Even the most conservative financial planner cannot make that math work in favor of the loan. Capture the match first. Always. Everything else is negotiable. Here is the sentence most financially comfortable 30-somethings say in some version or another. I know I need to deal with retirement properly. I just need to get through this phase first. The phase is always there. That is what makes it so effective at consuming the one thing compounding needs: time. Let me give you a number that makes this concrete. The difference between someone who starts investing seriously at 30 versus 38, 8 years at $600 a month into an index fund at 7% is approximately $690,000 at retirement, not $69,000. $690,000 from 8 years of waiting to get things sorted. $690,000 cost of an 8-year delay, $600 a month, 7% return. Same endpoint. The when things settle down version of this mistake has a second layer that makes it worse. When people do eventually start investing seriously, usually triggered by a financial scare, a conversation with an older colleague, or hitting 40 and doing the math, they often try to make up for lost time by taking on more risk than their actual situation warrants. They swing for individual stock picks or concentrated bets, and they frequently make the behavioral errors that come with investing under pressure rather than investing from a position of patience. The person who starts boring and early almost always ends up ahead of the person who starts aggressive and late. Not because boring is virtuous, because boring survives the full compounding timeline, and aggressive often doesn't. If you have a 401k at work, and you are not contributing at least enough to get the full employer match, that is the most important correction in this video. Your employer is literally offering to add 50 to 100% to every dollar you contribute up to a cap. Americans collectively decline approximately $24 billion of this free money every year, mostly because the enrollment form was annoying. Log in this week. Confirm the match percentage. Set your contribution to capture all of it. This takes under 15 minutes and is the single highest returning financial action available to most employed people. Your 30s are when large, emotionally loaded purchases become normal. The house upgrade. The renovation. The leap into a bigger mortgage because it is an investment. And some of these decisions are genuinely correct. Buying in a strong housing market with a sustainable payment is not a mistake. The mistake is the financial reasoning most people use to justify the upgrade. The kitchen will add value to the house is not a financial plan. The average kitchen renovation returns roughly 60 to 80 cents for every dollar spent at resale, according to Remodeling Magazine's annual Cost versus Value report. It does not return $1. It returns 70 cents. The renovation is not an investment. It is a lifestyle purchase. Which is fine, but it should be evaluated as a lifestyle purchase, not rationalized as a wealth-building move. The honest housing math, a $40,000 kitchen renovation that returns 70 cents on the dollar at resale has a real cost of $12,000. That $12,000 invested instead at 7% over 20 years grows to approximately $46,000. The renovation debate is not really about countertops. It is about what $12,000 is worth to you in 20 years versus how much you want the kitchen now. Both answers can be right. Just know which question you're actually answering. The same math applies to the mortgage stretch. Buying at the absolute top of what the bank will approve, because real estate always goes up, is not a financial strategy. It is hope with a monthly payment. Leave enough margin between your mortgage payment and your income to keep investing. The house can appreciate. The house cannot replace 30 years of equity market returns if you stop contributing to your accounts to afford the payment. I want to give you 3 specific actions, not a philosophy. Philosophy is easy to agree with and ignore. Actions have a deadline. This week, open your bank statement. Find every recurring charge. Cancel anything you have not used in 30 days. Redirect what you save to an automatic monthly investment transfer. Set it and forget it. This single action, for most people, frees between $80 and $200 per month, which at 7% over 25 years is between $64,000 and $160,000. Log into your employer retirement portal. Find the employer match percentage. If you are not contributing enough to get all of it, change the percentage today. The enrollment portal is almost certainly less confusing than whatever you were doing before you opened it. Write down every debt you carry, its balance, and its interest rate. Rank them highest rate to lowest. If anything on that list is above 7%, that is where your next available dollar goes before any investment other than the match. Run this list until everything above 7% is gone. Then redirect that payment to a Roth IRA contribution. I want to be honest about something before I let you go. Most people who watch a video like this feel good about it for about 4 hours. They agree with the math. They nod at the right moments. They think I should really do those 3 things, and then life interrupts a meeting, a notification, dinner, and nothing changes. That gap between knowing and doing is where most 30-something wealth goes to die. Not in bad investments, not in crashes, in the space between understanding the plan and actually executing it. So I want to ask you one thing before you close this tab. Not did this make sense, clearly it did. Not do you agree the math does not require your agreement. The question is, of the 3 actions I just gave you, the subscription audit, the 401k check, the debt list, which one can you do in the next 20 minutes? Not this weekend. Not after things settle down. In the next 20 minutes before the moment passes. Because the version B story at the beginning of this video is not about a genius who found the perfect investment. It is about a person who did the boring thing on a normal Tuesday when it was slightly inconvenient and then kept doing it. That person can be you. The window is open. The math is on your side. The only question is whether you close the app or open the portal.